Dunkin' has a whole new line of handcrafted signature lattes. Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, and Cocoa Mocha. They're so delicious, you'll realize that you've been spending a whole latte time drinking the wrong coffee. So even though you've been together for years, it's time to say goodbye to your ex. Coffee Place. Because you've got a latte love for Dunkin's signature lattes. Sipping is believing with Dunkin's new handcrafted signature lattes, like Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, or Cocoa Mocha. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Radulich and Broadcasting Premier Podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, your friendly neighborhood Robert Winfree. Yay!
Ow. I am neither friendly nor neighborhood. I'm not entirely sure how I can kind of turn that into a verb like I did, but no, that's just not a thing I am.
You am what you am, and that's all that you am.
Sort of. Hello, everyone. This is Damn You Hollywood. I am Robert Winfree. I am here under protest, and if anyone knows my location, please send help. Tonight we are reviewing Marvel's Spider-Man Far From Home, the final kind of epilogue / coda to the Infinity Saga that has been every MCU film to date. And this could be one of those shows, guys. Just a fair warning. You might be in for a long one. But here with me, first of all, Mark, who is kind enough to provide inaccurate but at least partially enthusiastic introductions every week. Hi, Mark.
So we can't go that long. I have nurses that have stuff they have to carve out of me at 11 o'clock.
All right.
I promised them if they left me alone, stop taking all of my blood and my vitals and my this and my that, and carving out little pieces of me to study and to write about and to examine, that they could have all of me. Why not take all of me at 11 o'clock? But they can't have any of it between 9 and 11. So if you hear me saying get on with it, now you know why. More so than usual.
Fair enough. And back with us this week, again, we're not sure why she keeps agreeing to do this, but she does. So Alexis Tana is back with us, and we're always happy to have her because misery loves company, as the saying goes. Hi, Alexis. How are you doing this evening?
Doing good. I had to go to another room. If anyone wondered what that weird thing was during the theme song, that was my Cocker Spaniel alerting me that the neighbor's children are here.
Fair enough.
We're going to insist though that if you're going to be on the show, you have to actually talk into your phone.
What?
You sound like you're talking from the other room where the mic is.
I'm sorry. I had to put down the headset. Okay, is that better?
Much.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
I tried putting my phone down in the little desk holder thing, but I guess that puts the microphone to the ground. So I guess I actually have to hold the phone up so the speaker is facing my mouth.
I've been listening to a lot of Canceled Too Soon lately, and clearly people with time on their hands and better audio equipment will sit down and actually edit these things. I ain't got time for that shit. So what you're getting, folks, is the real punk rock audio podcast right here, where we don't always sound great. How do you like them apples?
Given our listener numbers, they don't.
What can I say? Maybe if we start getting paid, we can invest in better audio equipment.
You really do. I shouldn't.
No.
I should divert this show for this, but
No.
I have experimented a little bit with some of the audio, like splicing and cleanup issues, because I had to splice together two entirely different recordings for the MMA show a couple of weeks ago, and
Oh, that's not the one where you entirely forgot to record Jeff's audio?
no. There was one a few weeks ago where Skype derped on us during the middle of the show and cut us off.
Okay.
And the thing is, at the moment, I just record the Skype call. So if the
Okay.
Skype call ends, the recording ends.
And then you upload to whatever service 401's using these days?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I had to restart, so I had to start another recording, and then I had to manually patch them together to make it so it's one show and not, hey, here's 20 minutes and here's another 60 minutes, and you just have to click on these different links. And so I've experimented a little bit with it, and it's time consuming, but definitely not all. I mean, it's tedious. It's not difficult, kind of thing.
No, I've done some editing of this stuff in the past, and it's just like I decided that my time was better spent doing anything else.
Yeah, we just need someone with less time on their hands than I have. So we should ask Jesse what he's doing. Anyway, moving on to the show.
Ow.
Love you, Jesse.
So, Spider-Man Far From Home, right?
Spider-Man Far From Home. What a dumpster fire.
In traditional Robert Winfree fashion, the more he hates a movie, the longer he tends to procrastinate actually getting to it.
Wait until we have to talk about Charlie's Angels. I'm going to spend the entire podcast doing anything but.
I can't wait.
All right, so moving on to the movie itself. Fair warning, we have 3 different perspectives, so whatever yours is, someone here will give voice to it. I did not enjoy this almost at all. Mark's kind of in the middle, and Alexis loved it, so now you know who's going to be representing your point of view, by and large. Or if you fall somewhere outside the dislike, lukewarm, like paradigm, if you're on the very extremes, we don't have someone for you, but other than that, we've probably got you covered. So if you have not seen the movie in question, here's your spoiler warning. I'm about to just tell you everything that happens. In 3, 2, and 1. All right. So we open with a little bit of world building where they try to explain what happened to the people who came back from being snapped after the events of Infinity War and Endgame. And it turns out that since they were just gone, they all existed in a kind of stasis, and those who have returned are kind of referred to as, like, they call it, the blip, I believe.
The blip.
Because everyone who was snapped came back 5 years later exactly the same. So there's, brothers that used to be your younger brother that is now your older brother. There's, I was born in, 1990, and now it's 2026, so I should be, 36 or whatever, but instead I'm 31 because I missed 5 years of my life. And there's massive property confusion because, hey, the real estate didn't go away, it just got repurposed. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that stuff that kind of goes on here that has been going on. And we are introduced then to Peter Parker as he's 16, so his, sophomore or junior year of high school is wrapping up?
Something like that. I think he was a freshman in Homecoming, so it makes sense, I think, that this would be the end of his sophomore year.
Yeah. We'll go with that for the sake of argument. And they're organizing a field trip of sorts through Europe, and he's struggling a little bit with the reality that Tony Stark is dead and that Captain America is gone, and they just refer to him as gone in the beginning. I don't know if that's because rather than try to explain time travel shenanigans to the public at large, the story is just, Cap died fighting Thanos kind of thing.
It really doesn't matter. It doesn't factor into the play. We just all know Chris Evans' contract is up, and he has moved on to Rian Johnson's new film.
Yay.
Knives Out, baby. Woo!
Actually, the trailer looks legit good. I'm interested in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything against any of them, so I do wish him all the best. I just am going to miss Cap because Captain America is one of my favorite heroes. And Chris Evans was an exceptionally great Captain America. So, the world is kind of trying to put itself back together now that, hey, half of humanity from 5 years ago suddenly reemerges. That wouldn't cause massive logistical strain, I'm sure. And Peter is kind of struggling with Tony being gone and some of his guilt, but more just kind of the weight of, I'm just a kid, I don't want to have to do things and be responsible, and he's every whiny teenager ever, basically, in some respects. And you know what? Fair play. That's kind of what Spider-Man's supposed to be at that point in his life.
We gotta address this point, but I'll say it now. What a turn from Far From Home when he was like, I want to be an Avenger. To
you mean Homecoming?
I mean, Homecoming. I want to be an Avenger. To I just want to go on vacation. Like it was an interesting character turn for him, but we'll address it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do have some points on that, but let's get through the plot.
So he is getting set to go, and apparently everyone in his life knows his secret identity. Like it's not actually secret; it's just his identity. His Aunt May knows, his best friend knows, his the sort of girlfriend winds up knowing by the end of the movie. There's actually a scene when he's walking through like the remnants of a quasi-SHIELD association. Then Nick Fury actually says, literally everyone in this room has seen you with your mask off. You'd just be breathing through spandex for no reason.
Well, isn't that a joke in the comics that Spider-Man is the only superhero with a lesser kept secret identity than Spider-Man is Daredevil?
Or Batman.
I said, wait, did I say comics or did I say Marvel?
You said comics generally.
Oh, okay, sorry. I meant in Marvel generally.
Because Daredevil's like publicly come out as Matt Murdock multiple times. That's been a thing. So yeah, I assume it's kind of a joke at that expense. I'm not big on the comic continuity, so I couldn't tell you all the nuances of that. I will bow to the superior knowledge of anyone who has knowledge of it. I will defer. So anyway, he's getting set for this vacation, and he doesn't really want to take his suit, and he's, again, just kind of struggling with, but I just want to be a teenager. I got a taste of adulting, and it sucks. Please don't make me do it. I wanted to be an Avenger until I found out that it sucks, and people die, and there's actual pressure and reality, and yeah. So his aunt winds up packing his suit. As a craft issue, I just have to warn everyone, the entire first half of this movie is a giant drag. There's like nothing.
Okay, we have a whole section dedicated to craft.
I know, I'm struggling to come up with anything I want to say about the first half of the movie other than they get to Europe and dick around. But they get to Europe and dick around.
Robert's procrastinating again.
Eventually Nick Fury shows up, or not Nick Fury.
No, hey, we don't know that yet.
Ben Mendelsohn, wearing a Samuel L. Jackson suit, shows up.
You missed the attack in Venice.
Oh yeah, we are introduced. See, I knew I was going to forget something.
You also missed the cold open that introduces Mysterio.
I don't care about the cold open. We're introduced to Mysterio, or Jake Gyllenhaal wearing shoulder pads. And he is ostensibly a soldier from another reality thrust into ours via the power of the snap. And now he is trying to help save this Earth from the primordial elementals who have reemerged and apparently rage across the timescape, destroying planets by just becoming one with the elemental forces that exist on only a handful of planets in particular, and then somehow harnessing that ability to wipe them out. It's never made clear because it's badly written, which they actually turn into a plot point. Thank God.
I want to someday be in the writer's room when they're developing these things, and they pull on strings of lesser-known Marvel properties like the Elementals, because that's an actual thing from the comics.
I know. Well, and also the design of these ones are also loosely based on a bunch of different Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, like Sandman and Hydra Man.
And a few others, actually.
Fans that were legit pissed we didn't get Hydra Man.
Well, see, I'm glad though because they would have utterly wasted him here. When we'll find out why in a moment.
Yeah. So we are introduced to again Mysterio, Quentin Beck, who is again in theory trying to save the world. It's a load of crap, as anyone who knows anything about Mysterio knows as soon as he shows up on screen. He fends off an attack from the water elemental in Venice while the kids are on a trip there, and he and Peter kind of meet up, and again, Nick Fury shows up and is like, quit being, if I call you, you pick up the damn phone, because we need your help. They wind up, Nick Fury kind of hijacks the entire vacation the trip that his school class is taking to make sure Peter gets to where he wants him. They wind up in Prague, where they stop the molten fire equivalent doohickey. It's during this time that Peter first encounters some of the cloaked drones that are actually just projecting the hologram that is all of Mysterio's mostly existence. But it turns out all of this was a ruse by Mysterio to gain access to a sort of AI program that Tony Stark left behind before he died that has access to almost the entirety of Tony Stark's defense satellite system and all of his technology that he left to Peter that goes by kind of a composite program by the name of Edith, which is an acronym for Even Dead, I'm the Hero, which might be the most Tony Stark thing that Tony Stark did up to through like all of Endgame. Even dead, I'm the hero. Suck it.
Yeah, the minute when that came up, it's like, well, of course. What else would he have called it?
But yeah, he's not going to call it anything else. He's Tony Stark. And Beck winds up again. The whole thing, it's all an illusion, but it's not a singular illusion. And I feel like there's a lot of he is leading a cadre of people who throughout their lives have been dicked over by Tony Stark.
What does this feels like? They downright showed it in the movie. I mean, he literally stands on a soapbox and goes through Iron Man 1. What was the other one?
Civil War.
Civil War. And then the rest of them don't have a reference point. But he's like literally like naming all the, all we were missing was Guy Pearce in that scene. As he's basically laying out all the people that Tony has wronged, doing Tony things and saying this is revenge for being dicked over by a billionaire philanthropist playboy douchebag.
I'll admit, as much as I love this movie, that is one scene that does not really come across well. Although, honestly, if you guys have a better idea of how it could have been done, explained, I would like to hear, because I'm sure there is a better way they could have done it. I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
We'll talk.
I think there's only two ways.
We need to have a discussion about that entire scene. So let's come back to it.
It's very briefly. I think you either have to go even cheesier than they did, or you have to play it like a subtle espionage thing where someone else slowly realizes the connections between all the people that they've just kind of seen in the background. I think those are the only two ways to do it. Anyway, he now has access to this massive multi-billion-dollar complex of MacGuffin Deus Ex Machina crap. And Spider-Man comes to realize this after he and Zendaya, who is... I have a thing about this that I want to save for later.
Really? Does it have to do with the Little Mermaid as well?
No.
Oh, dear God. You did not go into that.
No. Oh, hang on. We're not. No. Look, it has nothing to do with anything about the actress except her acting ability, which is meh.
It's amazing that the one where she's the show that she's on Disney, where she's like a spy. She has so much more personality than the Daria personality they gave her in these movies.
Look, they wrote this quasi variation of MJ. Like, I feel like this character was imagined in the early 2000s, and they were really hoping to get Kristen Stewart to play it.
If Kristen Stewart would have done a better job with it. Unfortunately, Kristen Stewart does punchy face really well, and shitty personality really well, and that's why
all this character is.
But that's why everyone hated her as Mary Jane. Whereas this one is all spunk and spitfire, and she's got a lot of charisma, and people love her on the Disney Channel shows, and they took all of that away from her.
Again, they wrote like a whiny emo chick.
Yeah.
And then I will be so glad when she dies and we introduce actual Mary Jane Watson, but in the future. So anyway, it's around that time again. He figures out what's going on with Beck. He confesses to MJ that he is Spider-Man because if you've ever seen the How It Should Have Ended skits, we just really needed him to rip off the Batman's. So you want to know my secret identity? 3 people got that reference, but it's funny. So he tries to reach Nick Fury and warn him that Beck is a duplicitous son of a gun. This doesn't work, and we get to see a little bit of Mysterio's trickery illusion as he just royally screws around with Peter's head, gets information out of him, gets him hit by a train. It's all great stuff.
This is the Spider-Man acid freakout.
Look, I tend to think of that entire sequence as please, please, please don't compare us to Into the Spider-Verse being the superior Spider-Man movie, because it is.
I want to talk about all that, but yeah, that I don't want to get into a debate if I say something that you 100% disagree with. So keep going.
So he winds up making contact with Jon Favreau, who's kind of been in and out of this movie on occasion. To help him, they wind up in London, where Mysterio is trying to stage one final "Please believe me, I'm a hero" bit of movie magic. And I have a thing about that again, I'll save it. And also, at the same time, kill Nick Fury and Maria Hill, even though they're not actually Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
We don't know that yet.
I know it now, so I'm going to say it. Spider-Man shows up in a costume that he custom built on the jet that Happy Hogan was bringing him, used to transport him. He saves the day, stopping Mysterio, who winds up shooting himself with drones. Again, the day is saved. All is theoretically well. The class goes back home to New York. He gets to go on a few dates with Mary Jane, at which point it's revealed that a lot of his final conflict with Mysterio was recorded and heavily doctored/edited, then released via J. Jonah Jameson, who runs the controversial website, quote-unquote, the Daily Bugle. And again, the only thing that makes this movie worth it for me was seeing J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson, because all of my yes. He releases to the world that that Spider-Man killed Mysterio, who was in fact a hero from another reality fighting for. He swallows the party line, hook, line, and sinker. He then Mysterio then reveals to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and we get Peter's oh crap face through the expressive eye mask.
I was going to say, think Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone.
Yeah, but somehow even dumber.
Did anyone else notice that the first Spider-Man Homecoming, they end with Aunt May going, "What the fuck?" and they cut. They end the same way with Peter going, "What the fuck?" and it cuts before he finishes the curse. Good.
I hope in the third one he says "fucked" in front of a theater full of children.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
You say that as a joke. I actually mean it.
Of course you do.
I want him to drop Mary Jane from a clock tower, fail to rescue her, and just the last shot of that movie is him breaking down sobbing, going, "Oh, F."
That was Gwen Stacy.
I know what it is originally. I want him to do it to the character of MJ in this one.
Well, in the Ultimate Spider-Man, the Green Goblin throws Mary Jane off a clock tower or a bridge or whatever it is. We just talked about it, actually.
Look, I'm also on record that I think Ben Reilly is a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker. So.
Oh, somewhere out there.
I just pissed off everybody.
I was gonna say some friends of the program are gonna find where you live.
Look, if they want to take the flight out to Utah and confront me over it, they're welcome to.
Someone's gonna throw his drawing pens at you.
I love you, Ben. I really do. I have to poke the bear every now and then. And yeah, I got a soft spot for Scarlet Spider-Man, so sue me. That reveal is our mid-credit scene. Our post-credit scene is the versions of Nick Fury and Mariah Hill revealed to be Skrulls. In particular, at least one of them was the one played by Ben Mendelsohn, Talos, I think, from Captain Marvel. And they communicate with the actual Nick Fury, who's on a spaceship helping the Skrulls. I want to say this about that just a little bit, very briefly. I was going to complain to high heaven about the writing of Nick Fury in this movie, because it's so bad. The fact that it winds up being a deliberately duplicitous character's take on Nick Fury makes all of it actually make sense. So I will give the writers credit for that.
Here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if that was a reshoot, where they watched a rough cut of the film, because this thing is also cut to shit, by the way. There's a lot of stuff in the trailers that's not in this film.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
But
they just watched it and went, this is not how Nick Fury actually acts.
And then they were like, well, we can't reshoot. Well, we don't want to go over budget. We don't want this thing to cost $1 million, even though it's going to do well. How do we fix this? Like, what if Nick Fury was a Skrull?
And perfect. He's not actually Nick Fury. That works.
Yeah, I honestly think that's how they handled it. Like, this wasn't the intention. All right, let me do my good, bad, and ugly real quick, and then we'll pitch to Alexis, and then back to Robert, and we'll move on here. Spider-Man, I think, is like deliberately aimed for a younger audience. Spider-Man is probably every child's like favorite hero. As we break into adulthoods, we sort of subdivide into different categories. From the esoteric to the more popular, and different characters. We're Iron Man fans, we're Black Panther fans, we're Captain Marvel fans, whatever. But I think if you polled the average elementary school age kid, it's Spider-Man. The theater was just full of kids. And like my kids who I can barely drag to a Marvel movie on the average, go out of their way to make sure I take them to go see Spider-Man. So I think the writing reflects that. I think this take on Peter Parker, versus Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, also reflects that we are trying to portray him younger than he's been portrayed in the movies before. Even though he was he was in high school in the first Spider-Man and then the Amazing Spider-Man, the takes were still somewhat more mature portrayal than what we get from Tom Holland, where this really is a kid. This really does come across, and I think he's like in his 20s, so good on Tom Holland, where he really does come across like a child who is struggling with this and with the enormity of what's been bestowed upon him. Aside from that, where the movie works is it's funny. Again, it's very lighthearted. We said before, it acts as a good coda to the Infinity Saga in that, it gets into, it further explains how the snap works and then how the unsnap works. To a degree, the question was asked, what if you were on a plane at the time? Did you suddenly reappear back in that airspace sans plane? And I think,
Boy, I hope so.
Well, this apparently was addressed in an article, which this annoys me. Like, if it's not addressed in the movie, stop dealing with it in interviews. like that just to me tells me you just didn't write these things very well. But Kevin Feige and the Russos have all said in the interviews that when the Hulk brought everybody back, he brought them back safely. Good cop out. Congratulations. But it was all handled very well. I liked this take on Mysterio. I liked the cynical approach of somebody fucked by big business, as exemplified by Tony. This idea of I'm the little man, I'm the worker, and the big bad billionaire businessman has fucked me time and again, and this is my opportunity for revenge. And that he's not alone in the world, that there are a lot of people who share this angst and aggravation and anger, and they're all willing to throw in and contribute because they too want a piece of the pie that was denied to them. I thought that was all great. Unfortunately, the scene where that's revealed, not well done.
Can I also say I think this movie might have run into budgetary problems, and part of their decision to go this way was just, we can just shoot Jake Gyllenhaal in his motion capture suit and then pretend that that's actually part of the character and not have to animate it.
Maybe.
See, I actually like that he was in the motion capture suit. Again,
I genuinely love that that's the direction they went with it, but I wondered, we can save money.
Well, it makes sense for the character, too, for what he's doing. I love that he's walking around in the motion capture suit with the fishbowl on his head, and it totally makes sense. It really does.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot that when we get the reveal of Mysterio and his team, I feel like there's a lot of stuff there that's just kind of meant to be a lot of insider stuff for people who actually make movies, and a lot of just kind of gags about.
Here's the thing. That whole reveal screams that when they sat in the writers' room and they were like, okay, and they're putting Post-its on a board about what's going to be what this movie's going to be, and they were looking at Rogues Galleries and they're like, we don't want to redo anything from the first 5 Spider-Man movies, so who's left? Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Hydra Man. Okay, well, out of those, the Hobgoblin. So of those, which one do we want to work with? Let's do Mysterio. Then they put up a picture of Mysterio, and they were like, how the fuck are we going to do this? It looks silly. That is the great thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that it looks at its own self and says, we're absurd. How do we do this in real life without it all being battle armor, a la the DC universe? And they were like, what if it's supposed to be silly because that's the state of the world right now. That's the only way to get attention. And I thought that was the thing, that this was meta without being cynical. That this was a commentary about the state of the world we're in right now without being preachy. It's like it's not a well put together movie. And I'll get to that in a second. But the parts that work really, really well, and I thought were really, really smart. So yeah, how Mysterio was handled, as I said, as the bitter ex Stark employee, and then he's able to create this image of a superhero using digital technology and drones.
Can I also just say his line about he turned my life's work into the acronym BARF?
Right. Which was the bit from Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that all works. I thought that all worked really, really well. It's just not. Unfortunately, I think they shot that scene in a couple of takes and was like, either we rewrite the scene or we take the best reading Gyllenhaal is going to give us and just move on. And it was funny because I'm watching this and it comes across as hackneyed. My kid's jaws dropped. And I'm imagining that's kind of the divide in the audience, where half of us went, ugh, this is some shit writing right here. And the other half went...
There's a lot of that in this movie.
And the other half went, I'm amazed. I can't believe it. He's not a superhero?
Look,
you're either not going to pick up on the bad acting and the bad writing, or you are. You know what I mean?
He's a 2-bit illusionist, so everyone fooled by 2-bit illusion is fooled by his role in the movie.
But I'm saying, as a craft element, this was one of those 50-50 things where half the audience isn't going to care that it's bad, and the other half doesn't really matter. They're there for the ride. So let's just do it and not worry about it making it being Shakespeare. So there's that. I'm trying to think of this stuff that I enjoyed the end set piece. I like the subplot of his spider sense being kind of wonky and him not really understanding how to use it, and then it being the thing that saves him in the end. I thought that was resolved really well. It paid off nicely. I thought it was, Tom. I have to really give it to Tom Holland. I thought just in that one scene, he showed some acting chops with his facial expressions, where he's got frightened and angry all at the same time going, and he's just doing it with his eyes, as he's got the gun in his hand, because Mysterio almost shot him in the head. I thought
that was a really great take.
Yeah,
the fact that you don't even see the gun. You just hear the bang and you see his hand go up. And you're like, wait, what the? Oh, crap.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
I almost thought he had caught the bullet or something the first, and watching it live, and then you see what it actually is. Like,
there was a craft element. I got to give it to Tom Holland. That was a brilliantly acted scene with just the muscles around his eyes, because his mouth isn't moving. It looked really well. It was well shot. It was well acted, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. The supporting cast all do good supporting cast stuff. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson gives you his level best. Robin from How I Met Your Mother does her level best. Jake Gyllenhaal, as the angry ex-employee, I think is doing the best with what he's working with. He's not a bad actor, so I'm not going to sit here. It's clearly the material he's given and not his ability to act, or it's the direction where we've talked about this before, Robert, where I think a lot of directors are just like, let the actors act, and they'll just take whatever take they're given, and they're more worried about the shots. You know what I mean?
Which is not always a good thing.
Like
sometimes it's okay to get out of the actor's way. Other times, no. You're supposed to be there to provide direction, to provide stability, to provide a cohesive vision, and to corral the eccentricity.
It's the George Lucas school of directing, where where you don't care about performances. You just want line readings because you're so busy creating visual art with your movie. And I think this director did a really, really great job of bringing forth his visual ideas that he wanted for this. Like their collective visual concepts for this movie, I thought were very clear and very vivid and very broad. But I don't think he gave a shit about the actors. I figured he thought he had an A-list cast here with Hollins and Zendaya and Gyllenhaal, and he was like, and KB Juby XB Small, whatever the fuck his name is, will do funny teacher stuff, and it's fine as long as nobody hums and haws or laughs through their line, or drops a line. It's all good. And yeah, that's shitty directing, but that's how this movie felt. It was just like, we're not really worried about the performances. That'll solve itself. What we want to make sure is that. And this is what I wanted to talk about as far as the good stuff. The denouement where Peter is confronted by Mysterio and realizes that he's been fooled this entire time and he's just trapped in an endless illusion, I thought was the stuff of nightmares. And
your nightmares are weak.
Shut up. And B,
I also argue that was the reason I went to see it a second time. I saw the sneak preview, came back, told my husband we're seeing it again, and we're getting tickets in 3D because I wanted to see that illusion sequence in 3D.
That is you want the undead visage of Iron Man with a bunch of spiders crawling out of his eyes, coming right at you off the screen.
My kids were terrified.
Your kids are like babies. We know that. Good. No, I'm not knocking the scene. By the way, I agree with you. It's great. It's
the best part of the movie, and to me, it's the part where the movie. It's like if you cut the movie in half and you start it with that scene, or you start it with the bar, and and Gyllenhaal going, "Was that so hard?" From that point on, I think the movie takes off and is amazing.
I'll agree with you that that's the point when it actually takes off. We might disagree about the heights that it hits, but that's when liftoff is finally achieved after an hour of drudgery.
But that's the thing is I don't have a tremendous amount of complaints after that because that whole scene is really good. Excuse me, Peter having to pick himself up and going to Happy, going, I don't know how to do this, and having that moment where, Happy's looking at him like, oh, aren't you a little junior Iron Man, as he's fabricating the suit. That was all good stuff. And then then the final end piece scene, the action set piece, I thought was really well done. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's not a whole lot to complain about in that second half of the movie. The first half drags like a dead body behind the truck and is so poorly paced and poorly written.
Poorly edited.
I don't know what was going on in the editing room.
Acid.
But they shot stuff for the commercial where he foils like a bank robbery or whatever. I would have loved to have seen Peter doing more Spider-Man in the beginning. And
give us some reason for a bit of his, like, I want a vacation. I've been busting crime 5 nights a week because in the wake of what happened, in the wake of the battle for Earth, crime has started rising, and I'm busting my balls out here. Can I have a weekend?
First of all,
the director admitted that they shot all that extra stuff they shot, including the scenes we see in the trailer of Peter getting ready to leave. He goes to get his passport, and he goes in to get like the toothbrush and toothpaste, and talks to the bodega owner and stuff. They said that they shot it and they liked it, but it really just kind of screwed with the pacing. They said, we obviously know that the action's going to pick up when the kids get to Europe. Let's just get the kids to Europe.
And then they still take half the movie getting them to Europe and doing anything.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that
I'd accept that if the movie actually moved at a decent clip up until that point, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
that is not a valid excuse.
Their move through Europe is so slow and so poorly paced. First of all, the scene at the high school with the newsreel goes on for about 90 minutes. It's way too long. They could have summed that up in like 30 seconds. While it's cute that they did Remember the Fallen, and you see all the Avengers. It just added to the runtime unnecessarily, where I wanted to see more of. This may come as a shock to people, but I wanted to see more of Spider-Man, and I wanted to see him having to take on the load of being, one of the few heroes left in New York doing anything. I don't know in terms of production where this lands. Well, I guess they couldn't have used the Defenders anyway because
they could have referenced them. Like it would. It wouldn't have been that difficult for he's just having even just like cop radio chatter. He overhears police officers talking about, boy, I sure missed the guy with the glowing fist. He kept Chinatown in line.
I think they're holding off on that because unless they're going to reveal that in Comic-Con here in the next few weeks, severely dating this article or this review, whatever you want to call it, I don't think Marvel knows yet what they're going to do with the Defenders.
Wait 2 years.
Okay, touche.
As they're contractually obligated to.
No, unless it's going to be revealed at Comic-Con, I don't think Disney knows what they're going to do with it yet, and I feel that if they put that Easter egg in, people have been like, well, they come back, it's like, we don't have plans for it yet. And in all fairness, Marvel has been really good about not dropping in a lot of teasers and stuff unless they actually know when those teasers are going to play down the road.
Here's where I disagree with you. They naturally ended a lot of the hero arcs for the Defenders. Matt basically went into retirement and gave up being Daredevil, as near as I can tell, at the end of Season 3.
That's not what happened, but okay. It's a good enough stopping point.
You could have made the case that he gave up being Daredevil at that point. It looked like he was focusing back on his friends in the law firm. Luke Cage became the King of Harlem and was running a club, and Iron Fist went off on an adventure with his best friend,
adopted brother,
and Jessica Jones isn't a hero, so
no one cares about Jessica Jones.
But the point of it is like maybe like, hey, all those, for a while there were a bunch of heroes running around New York City. There's nobody left. Everyone's either gone off around somewhere in the world or gave up being a hero, or whatever the case may be. Excuse me. So, I'm picking up the slack. Sorry, guys.
I was going to say, you okay? That sounds like you're losing some fluids out of various orifices.
Sorry, if I have an attack like that again, I'll just walk away from the microphone.
Are you okay, though?
Yeah, post-nasal drip issues going on.
Oh, I hate that. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, for the sake of my voice and further gross noises on this podcast, let me just finish addressing the pacing issues. That's like my major complaint about this movie, is that it's not paced very well. They don't really give you enough of what you need in the first act to pay off the second act, and that second act is entirely held up by the visuals and some of the performances at the very end, like I said before. So it's a very uneven movie. Alexis, I'll throw it to you.
Well, like I said, my only complaint about this movie was the scene where Mysterio reveals everything. Now, I will admit, I thought it was clever tying it back to the holographic software that we saw in Civil War. It was sloppily connected, but it was still a very creative idea, and I like the idea. I like that concept that Quentin Beck would have been responsible for creating something that revolutionary. It makes sense. Again, the execution of how they revealed it was kind of sloppy, but I still liked it. I disagree with you guys on the pacing. I thought I really didn't have that many complaints about this film. I enjoyed it. Yeah, we don't get a lot of action in the first half, but I feel that we're building up to it and we're establishing more time with these characters who are all very enjoyable. I liked it. I liked the scenes of them running around Venice, and maybe that's also partially because I've been to Venice and I want to go back to Venice. I miss it. But I did like that. I really did enjoy how they handled Mysterio. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I loved him in Nightcrawler. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie on Netflix, Velvet Buzzsaw, that he's in. It is so good. I highly recommend it.
Didn't see that, but I saw Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is fantastic.
Oh, Nightcrawler. Velvet Buzzsaw is from the same director.
Okay.
And that's why it's got Rene Russo and Jake Gyllenhaal in it. They just said, oh, let's make another movie. And it's just as good. Yeah, Nightcrawler. Amazing film.
Genuinely great movie.
Yes. I liked how they handled it. Going in, I knew I kind of liked how they were playing up with the advertising, saying, we're not going to reveal that he's a bad guy. Again, anyone who's read the comic books knows that Mysterio is a bad guy, but I personally really like how they built it up. I'm kind of reminded of what they did with Captain America Winter Soldier. Yeah, anyone who's familiar with the storyline knows who the Winter Soldier is, but if you go back and look at the early advertising and the posters and stuff, they never revealed that. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool how they handled the actual 3D light projection, the holographic imagery with the multiple drones. I thought that was a very clever twist. I don't want to just sit here on my turn saying, I like this, I like this, I like this. Okay, I'm going to get really annoying here. So I guess I'm having trouble thinking about what else to defend on this, because I wanted to be able to say more, but...
Okay, well, let me pitch it to you this way.
Thank you.
Did you have a problem with how it was paced? Did you feel like the story they're telling is the weight of being the heir to Tony Stark on Peter and how it affects him? That's the story being told here. It's this. The story is the legacy of Tony Stark, but the problem is, and Robert and I talked about this. The problem is the first half of the movie doesn't set up enough of that, so when the payoff comes, it isn't as effective as it could have been. Now, did that work for you and you were fine with it and fine with the pacing and you were okay with the shenanigans in Europe, or go ahead?
I was okay with it. We were talking earlier about the whole 180 from Homecoming. Yeah, I feel that Peter got a massive dose of growing up with the Battle of the Unsnapped, I think is what we called it in our Endgame recap. He went off planet.
The Battle of the Undusted.
Battle of the Undusted. Thank you. That's what.
Boy, I really wanted to be an Avenger until I discovered there's a giant purple Titan who bitch slapped me across galaxies.
Not to mention, I feel that with Tony gone, he's still kind of in shock about it. The fact is that this was his idol, someone he really looked up to, someone he wanted to fight alongside, and it really is weighing on him that he's doing all this without him. Think about just trying to come to grips with your life after somebody who has been such a huge influence on you, someone who was such a huge part of it, and they've died. It's very hard to grasp and to deal with, and to just kind of and again, we see in the interview the reporter saying, so are you the new Tony Stark? Are you the new head of the Avengers? He's 16 years old. He's not the next Tony Stark, and they don't they haven't established what's going on.
They assembled like the only group of reporters who didn't know that he was actually a 16-year-old kid at the time. So
fair enough, but I got it. I got the idea that he's saying, he doesn't want to quit being Spider-Man. We haven't gotten into that emo "I'm Spider-Man no more" thing, but part of Spider-Man's character arc through everything, through the comics, through the movies, through the animated series, it has always been balance. It has always been, I want to be normal and I want to be a superhero. And I think that he is one of the biggest comic book characters that exemplifies that story arc. That's, again, something we had to see here. This is him saying, okay, I technically died and my hero is dead and I just went through hell on another planet. I think I've earned a break. There's another thing you can point out. We learned not in the opening thing, but the scene in the charity event, Aunt May was blipped as well, and she came back, and she's now running a program to help people who came back who are essentially homeless now. Right. And I really did like that. They're pointing out, it's like, yeah, this is a serious problem that's going on now. We're trying to, make sure that
I would have been so much more interested in the story actually centered around the reintegration of all those people.
Well, I wanted to take the opposite tact on that. I feel like too much time was spent on the aftermath of the blip and not enough on the weight on Spider-Man. I mean, if you were satisfied with it and you thought craft-wise everything balances and pays off, that's fine. We're going to have different takes on this. I just don't. And I think they spent way too much time on wrapping up the blip and not enough time on the weight.
I guess we just agree to disagree. I thought it was well balanced, but I don't think we're going to, change each other's minds. So I thought it was fine. You didn't.
This comes across to me like a television show that airs a made-for-TV movie where the family goes to Europe, and it's like this feels like Full House goes to Paris, it was just like, God. They actually, in one episode of Fuller House, which is the reboot where they're all older and have kids of their own, where
poor thing, you actually watch that crap
and have done TV parties on it. Yeah, me and Pat do those, believe it or not. Because before he was Mr. Toxic Masculinity, he was totally 80s Pat Mullen. Anyway. So, there's an episode of Fuller House. It's like a 2-part episode where there's a wedding that's taking place between one of Jesse's one of the character's ex-boyfriends. He's getting married. Of course, the storyline is he's marrying the wrong girl. The very least, at any rate, he's marrying somebody in Japan, and a lot of it is just the family being in Japan. That's the joke. Them interacting with their surroundings, their foreign surroundings. And that's kind of where I think the movie loses me, is there's way too much of that and not enough of dealing with the critical elements of the story.
See, I feel that the only scene that they really did that was the opening one in Venice. We don't really get that in Prague, and we definitely don't get that in London.
All right, that's fair. Anything else before?
I guess if you want to complain about the scene, the little montage scene of the kids goofing around in Venice, you can bitch about that.
I think if you get the other stuff in there and maybe cut down the stuff with the blip, give me more Spider-Man at the beginning, and and him dealing with the weight, and then punch Flash in the nuts in the middle of Venice. I'm okay with it because there has to be some levity here. We need to break this up a bit. But like I said, to me, it's all out of balance. All right, let's go over to Robert here for him to share on all of it.
I hate to say, you just cut out for like the last 6 seconds. I heard absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I thought that was me having an issue.
Robert, go.
I was worried that was me too. I didn't want to say anything. I was so worried I was going to screw something up.
No, you're fine. Robert, what was your take on the movie?
Again, I'm going to do my best to kind of separate, to the degree that I can, my personal enjoyment from the actual craft issues of the movie, because I didn't enjoy this. I mean, almost at all.
Did you get the Fuller House in Japan vibe that I got?
I did not even know that was a thing, but I understand the basic point you're going for, and yes.
Okay.
Again, there's a lot of screwing around in Europe. There's a lot of them screwing around on the plane ride to Europe. Because we just needed another bit of gaggery about Peter Parker being awkward around a girl he likes. Boy, that's not going to get old, ever, right? For me, the whole first half of this movie is kind of a drag. There's some world building that goes on that I feel if they were going to include it does in fact need to happen, but is badly handled. I think you guys touched on that well enough. If I'm going to see Peter, desperately wanting to get away from being Spider-Man for a bit, I would have liked to have seen, again, some of the weight of that coming onto him. And you can kind of marry those two things better than they did in this movie, I feel. And then when we get to the ending, again, once the movie actually starts doing stuff, it does actually start doing stuff a fair bit, and okay, fair play, things are actually happening now. But there's a lot that kind of gets wrapped up in, I think, the suit, what's supposed to be the reveal of Mysterio as a bad guy, that apparently works on small children, but was a giant wank for those of us with, intellectual processing capabilities. I like that they went the movie magic route, and because I am gonna be positive here on a few things. I actually liked that. I liked that. I imagine there's a few digs about just who some of the other famous people are and how they behave. So Gyllenhaal on the comms getting frustrated with the special effects guy, and then no, I still need the practical effects, so please keep taking the wrinkles out of my cape, and you do your work your magic, tech wizard. And I was a little bit surprised there was no actual point when he said, "Where's my espresso?" But maybe they couldn't let too much of Jake Gyllenhaal as a human being in there. So again, I like that they went the movie magic route. I really did. That made a lot of sense. It let them do some kind of quasi-amusing things for anyone who's ever even loosely been associated with the filmmaking industry. And in fair play, you amuse yourself how you can. Mysterio, well, he has there's an interesting kind of setup for him and for his group. Unfortunately, Mysterio now enters the cadre of badly realized villains in the MCU. Because while there is a loosely decent idea here, Gyllenhaal's performance is, I struggle to even call it a performance until he goes into overacting mode. There's a bunch of times when he, I have to kill Spider-Man now, and the blood's, he's a bit uneven. And if you want to make an uneven, unstable character, fine, but he doesn't come across as unstable so much as, again, badly acted. And there's never really, again, those two things kind of never really coalesce into a cohesive vision for the character. Up to and including the point of his death. His motivation, again, it seems to largely be, again, part of it's a screw you to Tony's memory, and part of it's just, I really want everyone to look at me.
That's about getting attention and feeling like there's no attention left to be given to, to people who can do great things, but don't wear a spangly outfit.
Yeah.
I don't get that the whole thing with his death. Look at it this way. The acting out of him dying was well, but again, I saw this movie twice, and the first time, I didn't even catch the part where he accidentally shot himself with the drones. That was so quick, and all of a sudden he doubles over, and you realize...
Because they can't actually maintain their rating while showing gun violence. I'm surprised he even pulled a gun, because they never show it. They never show him with it before that. They never even actually show it. You hear a gunshot, and then there's one brief scene when you see Peter holding his arm.
By the way, wouldn't it have been great if instead of Peter catching him and paying off the Peter Tingle bit, instead he gets shot, you hear a gunshot, and you see, and they pan away, and you see Mysterio fall down from a gunshot that came from who knows where, and then the camera just shoots over, and there's the Punisher in the grassy knoll.
Look, if I'm all for John Bernthal getting more work, so if they were going to actually give the man work and let him be the Punisher, then sure, but otherwise, no.
Well, that's what I mean. Like John Bernthal's there. He just shoots Mysterio and walks away. I think it would have been a great cameo.
But what the heck is Punisher doing in London?
Why not? It's a whole new world, baby.
It only, for me, that only works if they actually try to do the bit where the Punisher wants to kill Spider-Man.
Well, the other reason why it's making me giggle to myself, because I'm picturing Punisher's first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man, and I almost want that scene to look like that, only instead of Mysterio, that's the Jackal. But it's you just see the gunshot,
crosshairs.
Yeah, the gunshot happens. He falls down. And the camera kind of pans up to crosshairs, and you close in, and there's John Bernthal, and he kind of goes, "All right, job done," and just walks away. There would have the men in the audience would have torn the seats up cheering.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But then we had them tearing their seats up cheering in the mid-credit scene, and I know we talked about this before we started recording, but let's go ahead and get it on record. That mid-credit sequence was awesome.
Yeah, again, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson went a long way to redeeming so much of my lack of enjoyment about this movie.
Except that they would never play Alex Jones in Midtown Manhattan. No way, no how, not going to happen.
Because, again, look, that's clearly what the writers are drawing influence from, but I don't think their version of the Daily Bugle is going to be that unreliable. And in fairness to Alex Jones, again, his accuracy rating probably south of 500, but not as bad as a lot of people made it out to be.
Yeah, but I'm not. But here's the thing: I'm not criticizing Alex Jones per se. That's not the place to do this.
But it's so much easier to do that.
But I'm saying there's no way in liberal ass New York City, in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, they're suddenly going to show you an InfoWars clip. It's like that. Of all the things I saw in this movie, that was the most unbelievable. Yes, I like J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson too, and I got a kick out of that scene. But I was just like, yeah, in real life that never happens.
They could have done a better. Unless they're going with just a completely different direction with, and
that makes more sense if there had been a CNBC logo. And now from CNBC, here's it's the J. Jonah Jameson show. Like instead of aping Alex Jones, he's aping Rachel Maddow. That makes a little bit more sense to me.
Both equally stupid.
I did like them updating the Daily Bugle that now it is an InfoWars style segment. I mean, I'm not going to get on a platform here discussing what you guys are talking about, whether or not something that would actually fly. Especially because we're on a limited time schedule here, and I really don't feel like starting a rant about Alex Jones and how I'm pretty sure Satan is sharpening his pitchfork and asking his secretary to let him know the minute that jackass shows up in hell.
We'll move on. What else you got, Robert?
So, Gyllenhaal's performance is uneven. I mean, when it's on, it works, because Gyllenhaal's a very good actor. Unfortunately, this has been true of Gyllenhaal for a while for me now. It's not that he's a bad actor, but his involvement in a project tends to make me shy away from it. Again, it's not about him being a bad actor, because he's not. He's a very good actor. But I've found that something about the projects he chooses, big budget, small budget, whatever, I don't know. Like I feel better avoiding the vast majority of them. Again, Nightcrawler, great movie, brilliant performance from him. Absolutely. I haven't seen Velvet Buzzsaw yet because, again, I kind of shy away from his stuff, but I've been kind of meaning to give that one a shot. But there's a lot of his stuff that all right, your involvement with this makes me go, you know what, probably not something I will enjoy. And, again, that kind of continues here. I'm not as in love with a lot of the action set pieces towards the end as you guys are. That's not to say that they're bad, but didn't really resonate with me a whole lot. I don't even know which ones I really. Again, for me, the standout sequence is that first Mysterio screws with Spider-Man with his technology. That's kind of the real standout moment from the entire movie. Again, their version of whoever, I forget the actual name of Zendaya's character. I know they call her MJ, but I forget what it stands for in this because she is and they've made this very clear. She is not Mary Jane Watson.
I'm pretty sure it's Michelle.
I think you're right. I'd have to rewatch Homecoming. But her character annoys me to death. And I will take Mark's word for it that she is a more engaging actress on other properties because, again, this character feels like it was written for Kristen Stewart circa Twilight. And
for the record, I haven't seen the TV show that Mark's talking about, but I did see her in The Greatest Showman, and she was quite good in that.
I haven't seen The Greatest Showman either because it's a musical.
Look, she landed an HBO show, and HBO has a pretty good record of hiring high caliber actors for their dramas. So I'm not going to slam on Zendaya.
Okay, then I'm just going to slam on the character and the writing of it. And if this is what she was asked to do, and she did her darndest to be that, fair play.
That, and she has zero chemistry with Tom Holland.
Good Lord, she has no chemistry with anything.
Yeah,
which is weird because aren't the two actually dating in real life?
Maybe, but maybe she has a personality in real life.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, he's acting against cardboard with her in the scene on the bridge, where she's like, "You're Spider-Man." Like I don't. That's one of my other complaints about this. I don't believe Spider-Man's Peter Parker's really in love with her. Like he's given those lines to read, but
there's so much more chemistry between Jon Favreau and Marissa Tomei in just.
There's more chemistry between him and Ned. Not to bring up that bit of fan fiction, but I mean him and Ned. There was more chemistry between him and Sam Jackson. There was more chemistry between Sam Jackson and Robin from How I Met Your Mother. But yet there's just nothing going on between Tom Holland and Zendaya.
I have to admit, I did think it was weird. We were introduced to a new character. I can't remember the dude's name. A student who's on the trip with them who was not blipped. And then they talk about how, it's like, wow, we come back and he's 5 years older and freaking gorgeous.
Right.
Oh, Benjamin something or other, I think.
I'm not sure. And
Dave. Who knows?
I don't remember the guy's
I'll look
name.
it up real quick.
But I did think it was weird that someone like him was going after MJ. I was just like, okay, so... I mean, I get it, he thinks she's kind of funny and all, but... My husband's home, the dogs are going nuts. But I didn't really get how he was so crazy about her that he was going up against Peter. I could almost understand Peter having a thing for her based on some of the stuff they saw, how they interacted in Homecoming. I do not get what this new guy sees in her.
That's the thing is like they write that she's an one more time. They write that she's an object of affection and of sexual interest, but don't do anything to actually make her that way.
Yeah, a lot of nothing there. A lot of nothing. Also, I try not to be that guy who reacts all that loudly in movie theaters because I don't like that guy. But when Happy Hogan hits the music and Back in Black starts blaring through the plane, and his response is, "Oh yeah, I love Led Zeppelin," I very loudly said, "Oh, screw you."
Oh, I thought that was funny. I laughed.
Nah, not doing it for me. I mean, I think the best, there's a brief burn on Peter when Samuel L. Jackson relays a message and says, "Yeah, and he said you wouldn't get that reference because it's from before 1996."
No, the line is you wouldn't get that reference because it's not a Star Wars.
Not Star
reference.
Wars. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Robert? Because if not, we got to move this along.
I think I had one other gripe, but I can't remember. what it really was.
Somebody complained that how is Mysterio able to fly up to Peter when he's sitting on the ledge? And I was like,
it's a projection.
I was
going to
say at some point it's all a projection. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think at that point it was just like it's the drone. Okay, there's actually something else I did want to bring up. Concerning not the mid-credit sequence, but the end-credit sequence where you see that it's the Skrulls. You guys think they may actually be trying to launch the Secret Wars story arc?
Yeah.
Secret Wars or Secret Invasion?
Maybe Secret Invasion. I sometimes
Considering they already established that the Skrulls are the put-upon whipping boys of the Kree, I don't know. They've gone out of their way to make them deeply sympathetic. They'd have to do a lot of selling to try and turn that around.
No, I think this is a setup to the Kree-Skrull War.
Which already happened. Look, Captain Marvel came into being and the war ended. Didn't we already establish that?
But let's put it this way. I think whatever happened up to this point wasn't the marquee Kree-Skrull War. I think that is yet to come. Here's what I've heard. The rumor has it that on the ground level, the new Marvel bad is Norman Osborn. But, we're getting more Kree in the future, and we're getting more. I haven't heard anything about Galactus yet. I've heard rumors of Kang being out there.
Stay away from both of those.
So who knows?
I'm hearing a lot of rumors saying that with the mid-credits sequence with Peter being outed, we're going to get Kraven the Hunter. Okay, either Kraven the Hunter or someone tied into the mid-credit sequence of Homecoming, where you have Mac Gargan,
the Scorpion.
Scorpion, yeah. Who's saying, it's like I'm going after him. Do you know who he is? And Vulture covers for him. If Scorpion now finds out who he is, maybe he's going to get out of jail and come for him.
I think we're going to get an amalgamation in the third one of Kraven's Last Hunt and the Sinister Six.
They are not touching Kraven's Last Hunt.
Well, I said an amalgamation of it, and here's what it's going to be.
I don't even think they're going to touch it at all. I think they're going to try and do that as its own thing at some point in the future. I think they're going to leave all of it just kind of on the table.
If they do Kraven, I think Kraven's going to put together a team to take down Spider-Man, and you're going to get an iteration of the Sinister Six with Kraven, Vulture, Scorpion, and whoever else is out there.
Sony's been trying to do the Sinister Six movie for so freaking long.
Yeah, you'd think they'd give up on it by now. The other thing and this needs to be brought up, because it just does, apparently. Apparently there's some kind of... No one's quite sure whether or not Sony, the goodwill and kind of the working relationship between Sony and Marvel at this point, might extend to include some variation of Venom.
Okay, everything I've heard says Venom is not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that when after Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man reverts back to being a solo property, and sometime after Venom 2, they're reintroducing Spider-Man into the Venom universe.
I don't know. Again, there's a lot of ways that could go. Disney could have bought Sony by that point.
Well, then this whole discussion is pointless. But it's freaking Disney could buy Paramount, and we'll get the Transformers in the next Spider-Man movie. Who the hell knows?
Oh, that would be so terrible.
All right, I'm moving on.
Yeah, again, so you've heard all three different perspectives. You had one in the middle, you had one that I really did not, again, I just didn't like the movie all that much, and then someone who did. So, wherever you landed on it, people, good for you. Thank you very much for listening, and I don't know, I kind of like when we have different perspectives like this, so...
Yep, I think Alexis, you valuable lesson here is I gotta pitch questions at you. Once we get your opinion, I gotta ask you specific craft questions. I think that's what we learned here today.
Yeah, I think I do better about coming up with my own material if the movie really sucks. But if it's a genuinely good movie that I enjoyed, again, I can't just keep saying, I like this, I like this, I like this. You guys are going to hit the mute button stupidly fast.
Yeah, I'll learn in the future to kind of press you on specific craft things, and you can tell me to go fuck myself, and then we can move on with the show. How's that sound?
That works.
All right.
That works.
Here comes the money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Dollar.
Alrighty, on a budget of 160 million, a paltry 160 million for one of these things. As of this recording, it's made about $588 million. Currently placing it at where are we?
Probably what, number 7 worldwide?
Like 5 maybe. Oh, shit, that's domestic. Currently placing it worldwide at. I hate my computer.
I will do this. It's faster if I do it.
No, I got it. Currently placing it at number 6, behind Toy Story 4. Yeah, it's listed as a Sony movie because it is, even though it was made by Marvel. But let's face it, if we were to consider this as the Disney movie because of who made it, you realize that Disney owns 5 out of the 6 top spots.
And we'll own more by the end of the year.
It's amazing. Endgame, Captain Marvel, Aladdin, The Wandering Earth is still at number 4. Toy Story 4, which brings up an interesting point. I got into a debate about this with my mother-in-law. I said Mulan next year will probably be the fastest of the Disney remakes, live-action remakes, to hit $1 billion. I want to be clear about what I'm saying here. Of the Disney remakes, starting with like fucking Pete's Dragon, going all the way to The Little Mermaid, the one that's going to hit $1 billion the fastest in the least amount of weeks is going to be Mulan. And she said, no, it'll be The Lion King.
I'm siding with her.
You think so? You don't think Mulan will track faster given the content of the movie and the marketplace in China?
Let me rephrase. I want Mulan to track faster, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be Lion King.
What do you think, Robert?
I need to see how fast Lion King does it, and then I will pretty solidly be able to make a pick because I'm shooting in the dark with Lion King as to how fast that'll do it.
Here's the thing. I think The Lion King does well. I think it makes $1 billion, but I don't know if everybody in India and China runs out to see that thing opening weekend. I guarantee you,
Lion King
90% of China runs out to see Mulan opening weekend.
Maybe.
Oh, come on.
Some of that.
There's a trend.
Look, also some of that is going to come down to how soon the Chinese government will allow it to be shown.
Not to mention which comedian they get to do the voice of Mushu, because the last rumor I heard was Kevin James, and I think that was a serious.
See, I heard they weren't doing a Mushu character at all. They might have been doing a character that takes on Mushu's role, but there's no actual talking dragon in the movie.
Then I'm getting a lot of conflicting sources, because I'm hearing some saying there won't be a Mushu. I'm hearing some saying they're auditioning actors for Mushu. I genuinely don't know what what will happen with the tiny red dragon.
In any case, Spider-Man Far From Home currently sits at number 6 with $588 million, comfortably between How to Train Your Dragon 3 and Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4, despite all the things we said about it in the podcast that never ended, is currently sitting at $656 million. Disney, you own the summer of 2019. Aladdin has almost made $1 billion. It's currently sitting at 928. And come on, people. Oh, people. We're so close.
It's not going to happen. Give up on it.
You give up on it.
I did.
We're 16 million away. A measly 16 million. I got that in my back pocket.
No, you don't.
Let's go. You're right, I don't. Oh, I do have a hole in my kitchen, though.
That I believe.
You should. It was all over Facebook. Yeah, Avengers Endgame is $16 million away from topping Avatar in the worldwide box office of all time. Come on, people. That last scene isn't a complete waste of time. Go see it. Go see
It's
it.
kind of a complete waste of time.
Oh, it's a
You should
total
go
waste.
see it
Actually,
anyway.
what I've been hearing complaints about isn't that it's a waste of time. I've been hearing that that and the extra scene added with Hulk is some absolute terrible CGI. I have
Well, it's not rendered.
Yeah, they didn't finish it.
Oh crap!
Are people thinking that was a finished product?
Yes, they do.
So I feel like now this podcast is a public service because we actually explain how movies work. That's not finished, people. That's an unrendered image.
It looks about as good as Hulk did in the Thor Ragnarok trailer,
Which again wasn't a fully rendered image.
and looked like crap.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's the way that Eric Bana looked in the first Hulk movie. That wasn't a completely rendered image either, but they put that on the screen.
Well, you're not wrong there. I like to think that CGI has improved greatly since the Ang Lee Hulk.
And look, I mean, it looked marginally worse than Lou Ferrigno in green body paint.
Nothing is better than Lou Ferrigno in green body paint. I wish they
Have
had
you ever
made that.
have you never met Lou Ferrigno?
I've not met Lou Ferrigno.
He is an enormous jackass.
Is he really?
But he's so polite. I've had 2 assistants meet him at Comic-Cons. They say he's one of the nicest guys they've ever met. He's all smiles
he's
and friendly.
he's nice.
I have never met anyone who had positive things to say about after a prolonged interaction with him.
All right, let me get through this real quick. Avengers Endgame is currently number 1, like I said. Come on, people. Captain Marvel, Aladdin, almost at $1 billion. The Wandering Earth still sitting pretty at number 4. Toy Story rising up the ranks at number 5 with 656. Spider-Man: Far From Home with an extended weekend take at 588, and then we round out the top 10 with How to Train Your Dragon, Pokemon, Alita: Battle Angel, and Gojira: King of the Monsters. The Secret Life of Pets. Remember when that was a $1 billion movie? Yeah, crapped out at $264 million. Can you believe that? It hasn't made as much as John Wick.
Yes, I can believe that because the first one was kind of a labor of love and genuinely funny, and the second one cast Patton Oswalt. So no.
Apparently,
Besides, John Wick is freaking awesome, and Keanu
Also
Reeves
true.
has done nothing but gain massive steam for 2019. He is like the most talked about celebrity right now.
Darn right.
Apparently, Dark Phoenix is going to bomb bigger than Fan Four
Fan
Stick.
Four.
Okay,
Even though it's made more money than Men in Black International so far.
It needs to be said about that. It's only a bigger bomb if we're talking about relative to its budget. I guarantee you it's already made more money than Four Stick will ever see in the totality of the existence of the universe.
Well, let's see. Fantastic Four. What was the total run on it? Fantastic Four.
Less than the balance of my bank account right now. Nobody saw that thing.
It's made more money than Fantastic Four.
Yeah, look,
Its
Mark,
budget was $120 million. It made $167 million.
Mark, you and I could shoot a movie in your backyard, and there's a non-trivial chance we could make more money than the Four Stick.
Hey, speaking of
Shoot a cell phone video of Eddie, and it'll make more money than Fan Four Stick.
Hey,
It'll certainly get more views.
Hey, speaking of backyard, did you see that Game Changer Wrestling backyard wrestling event
Mark,
from July 4th?
I'm trying really hard not to dislike you right now.
You should watch it. It's hilarious. So many light tubes, so many heads, so stupid. There's at one point in the main event, one guy tried to run the other guy over with a car, and he dove into the pool.
Okay, look, that type of wrestling for me, I think they jumped the shark, and I've been trying to pinpoint this, just for the sake of my own sanity. And a lot of people will kind of point to Sick Nick Mondo taking the weed whacker to the chest. I don't think that's it, actually. I actually think it jumps the shark, and I forget which Tournament of Death this was, but Drake Younger and Brain Damage was the final, and Drake Younger wins with a giant bit of his chest carved out from a badly broken light tube.
Like, I'm not going to knock it, man. It got me through at least one day of chemo.
Hey, look, whatever helps you get through the day, man. I'm just saying it's crap.
Oh, it was garbage, but, I mean, it was an absolute trash circus. But it was hilarious. You should watch it. We should talk about it.
I will never watch it.
All right, next week, as far as how well Spider-Man's going to do, it's got some heavy competition with The Lion King, but that's pretty much all the competition it's got.
Is that next week or 2 weeks out?
It's 2 weeks
2
out.
weeks.
This-
The movie to come out this coming weekend is Crawl, which I know we're all going to go see, but we all know it's not going to dethrone
No,
Spider-Man.
right. Spider-Man should be the number one movie again this weekend. With it has no competition. And then The Lion King will be the number one weekend after that. And here's the thing: the weekend after that is the Quentin Tarantino movie, but I don't know if that wins the weekend. It'll probably be The Lion King again.
Depends. A lot of that's going to depend on how well the Lion. Like, if The Lion King is crap, then it might. Like, if The Lion King takes just a giant dive in its take after its opening weekend, then maybe. But other than that, no.
Well, there's also the fact that Lion King's a family film, and Tarantino's sure as hell never going to make a family film in his life.
Look, I'm really hoping that Mark will take Lily to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'm trying to convince my wife to go. She hates Tarantino films, but I told her, I'm pretty sure this one's not going to be all the N-word and gunshots and blood.
So the only thing she saw previous to this was Django.
I don't even think she saw that. I think she saw Pulp Fiction and never saw another one of these movies again. And just knows them on reputation.
Look, Django as a movie goes off a cliff as soon as they kill Christoph Waltz because.
Yeah, well, I like Django Unchained, but
loved Tarantino. I love all of Tarantino's films.
Yeah, so am I. I'm a huge fan. That's why, despite the fact that we mostly focus on the blockbusters here. I always make time for Quentin Tarantino films because I really do love them. The only other movie, the movie kind of the summer officially ends, even though we're doing more movies after that. But I feel like the summer kind of ends with Hobbs and Shaw. That's the last big one of the summer. I
saw the other trailer for that and just wanted to die.
Dude, my kids are so funny every time the original trailer comes on when they when they go all right and they all start running at each other like it's Civil War and they're playing that music. Dude, my daughter bouncing her seat doing the fist in a circle in the air thing is just the cutest little thing. Children,
Mark,
right?
I got an honest question for you. What did your daughter think of the Maleficent 2 trailer that debuted a few days ago?
I don't think I've showed it to her yet.
I'm genuinely curious how the adorable little feminist in training is going to, what she's going to think of that film.
Well, I know she saw. She's seen the first one and she liked it. She was a bit younger then. I haven't shown her the new one yet. I'm sure when I go see it, I'll probably end up taking her if we all don't go as a family.
Just make Maleficent evil again, for the love of all that's holy. It's not that hard.
All right.
She's the mistress of all evil, not mopey pseudo-lesbian.
And on that note...
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Oh, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All right. So the nurses can take parts of me, all of me. Why not take all of me? We're only going to do a few of these tonight. Let's go to some of our favorites here. Let's read the hits. Let's be Journey.
Oh, God. I hate you. You're just
What
not
else
because
is new?
not because I hate you personally, but you're the instrument of my pain at the moment, so...
Would you rather have the instrument of Mark's pain in the form of all those damn needles?
If it can get me out of seeing Charlie's Angels, yes.
Yeah, he's offered to take my cancer a few times. And if I could give him my cancer, I would.
I completely know that you would. It's okay.
Oh, Robert, if we could give you cancer, we would.
Look, I'm not the only person you should feel that way about, but...
Oh, you're not. You're not even the only person on this show I feel that way about.
Not sure how to take that. Bob Mondello of NPR, top critic.
Oh, no, not NPR.
The stakes this time turn out to be considerably lower, and your friendly neighborhood Spider-Teen is arguably just the guy to bring things down to earth and reestablish a human scale.
Oh, shut up. Here's the crazy thing about this. I don't think they ever even really established the stakes apart from Mysterio's a bad person and he shouldn't have kill drones. There was a much better, more grounded human element in Homecoming when it's Adrian Toomes just trying to keep his family together after being screwed over by by elements of the federal government.
John Anderson of the Wall Street Journal. By the way, wait till you hear the one I'm going to read after this.
Oh.
John Anderson of the Wall Street Journal, top critic. Spider-Man Far From Home is a visually incoherent, effects-heavy superhero movie that would seem quite at home on the Disney Channel.
Oh,
I mean,
somebody doesn't like they use CGI for the elementals. Wah, wah, wah.
I mean, if they were on the Disney Channel, apparently Zendaya wouldn't be a giant anchor on the film.
Hey, speaking of Zendaya, Rachel Leichman of the Mary Sue.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Why?
God, even Alexis is
I've
like...
been around long enough now to know to groan at that one.
MJ grew as a character.
Oh, shut up.
And managed... Wait, this gets even better.
No, it doesn't.
And managed to represent all the things we love about the iconic Mary Jane Watson with a new twist. Made
Good God, shut up.
Made it a
You know
delight.
nothing.
Made it a delight. Not done. Made it a delight to watch as Peter and MJ started to let their relationship form. Go ahead.
Okay, whether or not you're actually going to agree with what you guys said about MJ's characterization in this, that's not Mary Jane Watson.
At all.
It's a different character. And I'm fine with the character. I'll admit that the snark got a little annoying after a while, but I'm fine with it being a different character and not being the bubbly redhead who's going to get kidnapped every 5 minutes.
Yeah, look, Mary Jane is the only true pairing for Peter Parker. Yeah, your Gwen Stacy fans can suck it.
No.
Hang on.
I don't know. I
Second
like the pairing of Peter Parker and Mockingbird.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it. No, this character is nothing like Mary Jane. Deliberately nothing like Mary Jane, and that's fine. Like, I don't care about that. I care that she's a badly written character, not that she has initials similar to a more famous character. In fact, should they actually introduce Mary Jane, Peter being all mopey and then like having a rebound thing with someone else he can call MJ and not have that awkward moment when you call out your ex's name when you're with someone else? Makes sense.
It's an interesting point that they keep including Betty Brant in this, and she's a love interest of Peter's in the comics. I mean, they have her hooking up with Ned of all people in the movie, but
we need to fast forward and get Ned in the Hobgoblin costume.
Is that?
Please no.
Look, there's no way that they're going to make the Hobgoblin suit to fit Ned.
I hope they do, and I hope it's like a Halloween costume.
You just want Joey Janela.
I think I missed a reference there.
You
What?
did. Don't worry about it. I got Mark to laugh. That's what I was going for. Or no. Who's the fat guy? Orange something or other?
Orange Cassidy's not fat. He's
Okay,
a
who's
slender.
the fat
He's a
guy?
slender fella. He's just a sloth. Steph Kaza of Aggressive Comics.
Ugh.
Yeah, you should see the picture. Far From Home sets up what's next. It was probably the second best Spider-Man movie ever.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
First of all, the two best Spider-Man movies of all time were Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
My
Yeah.
ranking goes as such: Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2, and then Homecoming. And
I think if you don't count the animated one, everyone thinks that Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie ever made.
if we set into the Spider-Verse aside for a bit, and fair enough if we want to, yeah, then at that point it's still Spider-Man 2 followed by Spider-Man Homecoming. Although Homecoming, I think this director just has issues because a lot of the same problems that Homecoming has are very much present here in Far From Home, and they also are much more exaggerated because we don't have the awesomeness of Michael Keaton to kind of counterbalance some of the problems of pacing and content.
Well, let's face it. I love Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, but Michael Keaton as Vulture is going to go down as one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time. Honestly, probably second only to Loki.
It's a low hurdle to clear, as we've discussed in the past, and yeah, I agree. I love my favorite moment in that movie. I think the second time I watched it, when he pulls a gun on tuxedo-clad Peter Parker in the back of his car. Just points a gun at a 15-year-old kid. Just yes.
No, that scene is great. He just talks to him calmly. That's a brilliant scene.
It's because Michael Keaton does menacing very well. By the way,
Right.
have you ever seen Clean and Sober? Phenomenal movie.
I got asked, by the way, when did Michael Keaton develop a lisp?
Didn't he have some kind of a... I feel like a few years ago he had some kind of a thing with his head.
I can't remember because I got Beetlejuice on my computer here and I was watching it the other night, and then I was watching Homecoming and there was that scene where they're in the it's like the factory or whatever, and he's giving that whole, the guys up there, they don't care about us, and I'm noticing Keaton's got a definitive lisp, and I was wondering, when did that
Imagine.
get developed?
Can you imagine if Robin Williams had gotten the part of Beetlejuice instead of Michael Keaton?
I kind of wish I could step into the alternate timeline where that happened just to see it.
Yeah, that's like I'm sitting going, wow, I'm actually going to need a few minutes to think about that.
That could have been great.
Well, while you guys do that, Rashid Irani of the Hindustan Times.
Oh, no.
Intermittently zippy.
Shut up.
Far From Home may not be in the league of Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man trilogy, but it nevertheless serves the purpose of a popcorn-ready rainy day matinee.
Okay, hold on. You do not get to lump the Sam Raimi trilogy together and just pretend that Spider-Man 3 isn't a colossal mess.
I would like to add, I like that phrase, intermittently zippy. There's something about that I like. I want to hold on to that.
It's a well put together sentence, even if it doesn't really accurately apply to this movie.
No, but that's a phrase I'd like to use to another movie. I'm going to hold on to that. We're going to use that in another film review.
Please use it for Crawl.
If it's appropriate, sure.
The alligators are intermittently zippy. Sure.
There we go.
I mean, considering how rapidly they're going to break through the sound barrier to make some of those jump scares work, it might be accurate.
Okay, Chase Whale of Fort Worth Weekly. Spider-Man Far From Home has a major problem. It cannot let the Iron Man franchise go.
I'm not sure how that relates. I mean, a major point of the entirety of Peter's arc is trying to deal with the reality of Tony being gone. It would have been
that's not the Iron Man franchise. That's the MCU as a whole. Tony has been a huge character and was, as we mentioned, an established part of Peter's life.
Yeah, that doesn't really seem like if they were just made an Iron Man movie, that might have been a point of point of legitimate criticism, but they didn't.
You got to hear this from Matt Brunson, creative.
No, I
fan.
don't. No, I don't.
We spent the first hour talking about the pacing in this movie, and this ass face. Spider-Man Far From Home ends up in the so close and yet so far category. The first half is mostly terrific, but the film takes a tumbling during its second hour.
I'm going to assume I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and think that you just kind of brain farted transposing those, because if that's your actual take after this, I don't know what to tell you. I can't even begin to comprehend the experience that you must have tried to go through to arrive at that conclusion. That makes no sense. That is utterly incongruous with the reality of the movie.
Pamela Powell of Daily Journal, Kankakee, Illinois. Spider-Man Far From Home, even with its charming subplot of teen love and angst,
Not charming!
Is just another superhero movie in a world where I need Captain No More to save me from seeing another film in this genre.
Okay,
Aw,
two things.
someone doesn't like the job she gets paid to do.
Two things. Yeah. One, teenage romance is not charming. It never has been charming. It probably never will be charming. It's grating. It's annoying. It's deliberately cringeworthy in a way that I think they use to mask bad writing because it's supposed to be that cringeworthy. And you have two characters with zero actual chemistry between them, but sure, charming. And second of all, shut up. You get paid to do this. You get to shut up about it. Like, there's only so much whining I can take from, a chef who goes, "Oh, but I'm just so tired of cooking steak. Why can't someone order the fish?" Shut up. Open a fish restaurant. Like, you get paid to review movies. You get to kind of shut up. If you want to lament the state of movies, fine. that's not a knock on the film, and you're trying to treat it as such. So shame on you. That's not fair to the movie, and it's not a valid criticism of it.
Right. Last one, unless I find a really good one, like one of the guys related to Robert. Jorge Castillo, Prairie Dog Magazine. It's all so much fun. I can already hear angry nerds complaining it's not as dark as Endgame. Nuts to that.
Okay, no one complained about that. Literally no one has complained about the tone of the movie.
I think everyone was relieved about the tone of the movie. It's kind of similar to what we said when we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp after Infinity War. We didn't want another dark and heavy movie. We needed something a little more lighthearted.
Yeah, you needed a palate cleanser.
I mean, I did, but I'm just me. Again, no one complained about that. Literally no one. You just seem to want an excuse to try and, shame nerds for being nerds, and, nuts to you.
Tara Brady of the Irish Times.
Oh, no.
At its best and funniest, John Watts' second Spider-Man film plays like Sweet Valley High.
No, it doesn't. Sweet Valley High had more fleshed out characters in some respects.
With a powdered guest star. But as a Marvel film, it's a little flat and low-key.
Okay, I'm just going to admit I have no idea what the hell Sweet Valley High is.
You're better off.
You're a girl. You never read Sweet Valley High books?
Babysitter's Club books.
Okay. You got one of them, so that's fair.
Yeah.
I won't take your girl card.
I'm assuming the guest star she's talking about is J.K. Simmons.
No, she's talking about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Said no one ever.
Wait, I don't get why is Jake Gyllenhaal the guest star? He's the villain. That's not a guest star role.
You're applying a level of coherence of thought to the writer that is not earned.
Where's all of Robert's relatives tonight?
They all skipped it. Like I wish I had.
Come on, where's old man Morgenstern?
In the hospital with you.
Yeah, he's in the next room.
Seriously, go over there and see if that's Joel Morgenstern, just because it would be funny.
All right, last one. We're going to end with our good friend. The answer to the question, how do I get to sleep tonight? Leonard Maltin of LeonardMaltin.com.
Not Leonard Maltin. Not this old man.
The living embodiment of paint drying. Spider-Man, Far From Home, is entertaining and perfectly attuned to an adolescent audience as well as the young at heart.
Wow. That's a sentence.
Could that be more full of pap and condescension?
Yes, but it would take a lot of effort.
I'll admit that's like Gene Shalit level of phrasing. But when you actually break down what he's saying, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but it's very condescending.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, we'll take a break from all the Spider-Man coverage and review. Finally, after 2 week delay, Amon Amoth Berserker. Would you like to suck my cock, Berserker? Would you like some making fuck, Berserker? He just say making fuck. Come on, anyone?
Yes, we've seen Clerks. Move on.
Woo! Every time I do that, Jesse forgets.
Actually, no, I haven't. Oh, crap. Rip Torn died.
What? Wait,
literally, just breaking. Rip Torn died.
Oh, nuts. On Thursday...
Before the live-action Hercules movie where he could have...
I gotta get the plugs in, guys, before the nurses
before they
storming
come plug
in here.
Into you.
Yeah, before the nurses come in here with their knives and their needles. On Thursday, assuming Sean has gotten himself ready to do this, we got an on trial for Spider-Man 3. We've already done The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so instead we're gonna do Spider-Man 3. That's how that's.
They all suck.
Terrific. This Sunday is Extreme Rules. We'll do coverage of it either the next day or whenever. You'll also get next Monday our coverage of Doom Patrol 2016, the first 6 issues brick by brick, which is mostly me going, I don't understand what I just read, and Chris Sheehan explaining what I just read. Now,
You're still going, I don't understand what I just read.
A week from tonight, you'll either get Robert, Alexis, and Jason reviewing Crawl, or you'll get all three of them plus me if I manage to get out of the damn hospital. So, we'll see. I've already told my parents that if I get let out before Tuesday, they have to take me to go see this, whether they like the movie, whether they like it or not. And let me tell you, neither one of them is excited about a movie where people are eaten by alligators in the house.
You know what? Yeah, Crawl looks unbelievably stupid, but it looks like the kind of stupid I can enjoy.
It's a Sam Raimi film. That's always the kind of stupid you can enjoy.
It's true. I love Sam Raimi.
Naturally.
On the Metal Hammer of Doom, we've got the...
He's actually responsible for, I think, my second or third favorite DiCaprio movie.
We got the Metal Hammer of Doom, the Texas Hippie Coalition, High in the Saddle, baby. Woo! And then finally, on July 18th, we're going to review Doom Patrol. Pat and I will be doing some boxing coverage. We got Plant versus Lee. We'll be doing some alternative commentary for that. That'll be on Fox proper, I believe. Yes, it will be. So you can check out live boxing on Fox July 20th, and then you can listen to me and Pat tell you how terrible boxing is.
It's pretty terrible. And really, if you're going to do those play-alongs, you should be going live rather than just recording them.
We are. We do those live. Oh,
really?
No, we don't do those live. No, you're right.
I was thinking, because I don't think you do. I've been on at least two of them, and you did. We're going to record now.
You're right. I post them after the fact. I don't like live. Cloak and Dagger.
Look, it's only not going live is only relevant if you actually edit things. We don't.
No, we're too punk rock for that. Speaking of which, my 5-year-old now wants to get a mohawk. Can you believe it? I told him no. I told him my dead body.
Do it. Let him do it. Let everyone shame him for doing it, and then he will learn.
Actually, let him do it while he's that young before it can actually haunt him for the rest of his life doing that in high school.
No, let him get
it out of his system.
He has to earn it. He has to earn it, okay? First of all, he has to get that sneer going, that upper lip, pouty sneer that a punk rocker should have. He needs to not cry every 5 minutes.
It's contemporary punk. He can do both at the same time.
He can cry and sneer at the same time?
Yes,
okay,
that makes you punk.
You say when you said he has to earn it, I was actually thinking, okay, how many chores does he have to do around the house to earn it? Apparently,
no. That's not how Mark. That's not Mark's. When Mark says he has to earn it, like he has to put some safety pins in his cheek.
Yeah. Yeah, my 5-year-old's got. If you're gonna be punk rock, you got to be DIY, baby.
Mark's old enough to. Yeah, Mark's just old enough to remember punk rock when it was actually punk rock and not Blink 182.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in the early 80s when punk was punk and men and sheep were afraid of men.
I went to high school with so many dumbass kids who put safety pins in everything.
Speaking of safety pins and everything, we'll be looking at Cloak and Dagger, Shades of Grey, the 2018 iteration of that book, issues 1 through 6 on July 22nd. We'll be reviewing The Lion King, and if you believe my mother-in-law and maybe some of the people on this podcast, it'll be the fastest of the Disney remakes to make $1 billion. We've got Sabaton, The Great War, and
it ain't going to be The Little Mermaid, that's for sure.
And I don't want to talk about it.
Seriously, all of those complaining online about The Little Mermaid, get off the internet and go sleep with something.
Look, I just need to say this very, very briefly. The Little Mermaid, controversy has started the way 85% of all internet controversies do. We all know there's the jackasses on either extreme. Someone on a very definitive end, but not necessarily an extremist, found a few things that someone said and then started saying, hey, look at these morons, and then it just spins up from there.
Can I tell you that both my wife and the nurse that gave me chemo both had the same argument? They were like, anything but a pale white woman with red hair isn't Ariel.
I mean, if that's the stance you want to take, fair enough. It's not the stance I think I will take. But, look, I'm prepared to...
I was going to say, I genuinely don't care. I'm sick to death of these live-action remakes, and
They're not stopping.
And I'm a total traitor to my generation. Little Mermaid is probably my least favorite Disney movie of the last 30 years.
What's your favorite?
Really?
Let me ask you.
Tarzan?
What? So you both were talking at the same time. I did not catch that.
I said, have you seen Tarzan?
I like Tarzan more than I like The Little Mermaid.
I can't believe you. No one,
Okay.
no one can sit through that much Phil Collins.
Hang on.
It's just not
As much as I
physiological.
want to end this podcast already, I got to ask, what is your favorite Disney princess strictly from the Renaissance period?
Belle.
Okay. Had they done Belle anything but a white brunette? Like had they I don't know, who would have made a good Belle that isn't white? Had it been, I don't know, Shakira.
Oh God, why would you go there?
If they, I guess it would have made a little more sense if then it wasn't set in,
France.
in France in that time period in the Shakira. I guess it wouldn't make sense.
Hey, they went multicultural anyway, and still didn't get The Rock to play Gaston. Just crying shame.
But you'd have been, but I mean, other than it not making sense because it was in France in that time period, you'd have been okay with it?
Yeah, like she probably would have sang better than Emma Watson. That's for damn sure.
Fair point. Yeah, this was one where I was not with my wife, nor was I with the cute nurse that was giving me the chemo. But I also didn't have the heart to argue with him about it either.
I mean, I can only tell you this: I don't care enough to get up in arms over it either way. I'll wait until I see the actress.
Okay, this is the fucking Jessica Jones argument all over again. It isn't about caring about it. It's you personally. It's about the argument is this character, her skin color, and her hair, or is it any other list of characteristics that actually make up a personality and not just the look?
I don't know,
Because-
considering that you decided to have a screaming hissy fit over a trans actor.
I didn't have a screaming hissy fit over a trans actor. I had a screaming hissy fit over a characterization that didn't include something that they made a big deal about.
And yeah, because again, the way people promote and talk about these things is profoundly stupid.
In any case,
Hence my desire not to talk about it. Hence my desire to wait to see how good or bad the person they cast is. I imagine bad, because child actors suck.
okay. There's your Little Mermaid discussion, everybody. And on July 25th, we've got the Cloak and Dagger Season 2 that aired on Freeform. We close out the month with DC Hanna-Barbera 3, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, L7 Scatter the Rats, and an on-trial for Pulp Fiction. All right, that's all I got here. Oh, we'll probably have some coverage of Fyter Fest as well. I just got to figure out when we're going to record it. All right, Alexis, do your thing.
Honeysuckle Rose Creations is actually going to be on our way this coming Thursday down to Tokyo in Tulsa. This is one of the biggest anime conventions in the Midwest. Really glad we're heading back there. I have just gotten confirmation we're actually going to be set up in the main building, not the vending hall building. So we're actually going to be near the panels and the celebrities. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to be debuting some new products down there, including our brand new Game Boy Advance cartridge keychains, which I have been working harder than I probably should have to make them actually look right. And I'm just going to say this. Game Boy Advance cartridges are kind of a pain to make.
That's why they stopped making them.
Yeah, but I keep getting requests for Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and I give into the barking dogs of want.
I'm sitting by a few of them. They're really tiny.
My son's
no, the hard part is trying to get that curve in the top and get that little parts that stick out from the side.
Yep.
Because you make that in any other, if you don't get that exactly right, those things break off the minute you handle it.
My son's new favorite game on the Switch is Yoshi's Crafted World. He just thinks it's the
Yeah,
best.
didn't he want to talk about that on the last show?
Yes.
Yep. And I wanted to die.
All right, speaking of wanting to die, hey, remember... Hey, remember when Jose Masvidal killed that guy?
I'm sorry, did you just say Jose?
I said Jorge Masvidal.
No, you said Jose.
You started to say Jose and tried to correct yourself, didn't you?
I was more just joking on my own, whatever. But
Look, man, Cuban Jesus don't play. And he lives close enough to you to find you. Don't do
What
that.
kills me about that knockout was that Ben Askren did a profoundly stupid thing. He looked at the ground and just assumed Jorge Masvidal was going to let him take him down instead of looking up where he could have seen the knee coming.
Wouldn't have helped him by the time he'd shifted his weight like that. Looking up, he just would have fractured part of his face.
You don't think he could have adjusted fast enough?
It's Ben Askren. All he does is shoot. Probably not.
Okay. Either way, remember when Jorge Masvidal killed that guy?
Yeah, he killed an Englishman earlier this year, too. Jorge Masvidal's having a great 2019.
Yeah, they need to get him a welterweight title shot.
Depending on what happens with Covington and Lawler, that does seem to be very, very possible.
Terrific.
Yeah, for discussions about that, the result of that particular MMA fight from UFC 239 this last Saturday, as well as the entirety of that card, you can listen to the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast that I host. Jeff Harris is with us. We talked about all the fallout from that, about John Jones' lackluster performance. Should Holly Holm retire? Amanda Nunes being just an absolute badass.
Hey, remember when Amanda Nunes killed that bitch?
Yeah, that happens every other week. The only woman she has fought that she has not just, like, murked was Valentina Shevchenko. Like, that's it. Everyone else, nah. She just
I told you she was going to knock the freckles off Holly Holm, and I was not wrong.
No, you were not wrong. Really lovely head kick from Amanda there. So we talk about all the results from that. We talk about how sad...
Remember when Song Yadong fucking murdered that guy?
Alejandro Perez, yeah. Hey, you remember when Diego Sanchez was a good fighter? Because no one else does. Because he never was.
Remember the time Diego Sanchez fought the one dude from, I think it was the Netherlands, and I gave the fight to Diego Sanchez?
One of the worst scorecards you have ever handed down, yes.
Go ahead. Diego
Diego Sanchez and Martin Kampman, yeah.
Yep.
So Diego...
He pushed the pace.
Shut up. No. You know why I say shut up? Because I still have to hear that bullshit argument.
Good.
That has not gone out of the cultural of the MMA lexicon.
That's why I said it.
I hate you for that. I really, really do. We talk about all of the fights from that event. We have a preview for the UFC in Sacramento where they bring the stellar main event of Jermaine Durandame and Aspen Ladd. Yet no one cares. I struggle to find anything on that card that I'm really interested in. I think I settled on like 2 fights, maybe, and I think they're both prelims.
When did Jermaine Durandame become a main eventer in anything that doesn't involve a cyborg fight?
When she, in theory, became the first ever UFC women's featherweight champion.
Terrific.
And then was stripped of the title for her refusal to fight Cyborg.
Good. See what you're missing, Alexis?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just kind of dazed out and was playing with my dogs.
I don't blame you. I would rather play with my dogs than watch this upcoming card. Anyway, this Saturday we'll have coverage of that event, so stop by, say hello. I'm going to need the help. If I were the drinking kind, and I'm not, but if I were, that card might push me to it. And again, this coming Sunday, I will be hosting that show as well. We will be reviewing that card and previewing UFC on ESPN4. This is the event headlined by Rafael dos Anjos and Leon Edwards, which is a great fight. But this card sucks because there's 4 heavyweight fights on it. That's not a joke. 4. One of them's a rematch between Andrei Arlovsky and Ben Rothwell, which is going to make me want to die.
Wait, they're both still a thing?
Yes. Sorry, there's 3. Not 4. But there's a crappy light heavyweight fight that features Sam Alvey. So, yeah, I'm calling it 4. Greg Hardy is fighting. Mark?
Who?
How have you missed the Greg Hardy phenomenon in the UFC?
I don't know. Is he a fat guy that hits hard?
No, he's an abusive ex-football player who gets play on ESPN because he played for the Cowboys.
Terrific.
He's fighting somebody. Alexei Oleinik is fighting. It's not a very... Again, I love the main event. I loved Dos Anjos and Edwards. Great fight. Relevant fight at welterweight. And the rest of it is a bunch of people in charge praying that we get quick finishes because nobody wants to see Greg Hardy and Juan Adams for more than about 80 seconds.
When is the Max Holloway fight?
The week after, I think, UFC 240.
The 27th?
I think so. That's what it should be.
Because I thought there was 2 in July, and I don't see it on my calendar.
There's a lot in July. Yeah, the 27th is Edgar and Holloway. Yeah, look, there was one the 6th, there's one the 13th, there's one the 20th, there's one the 27th.
I'm thinking about getting that fight because Max Holloway is violence.
Yes, he is. What else is on that card? Cyborg's gonna kill a bitch. Other than that, that card is actually pretty bad.
Hey, remember when Amanda Nunez housed Cyborg?
Yes, I do. That was great.
It was glorious.
So yeah, you can, for all of your MMA needs, if you happen to be a fan of the sport, tune in to the 411 Ground and Pound radio show. Sundays is when it drops, late in the evening. Again, your weekly look into the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts, and I occasionally lament my continued existence there as well. My existential crisis knows no bounds. It's been going on since I was about 13.
So you say you're having an existential crisis. All right, folks. We kept this one to just under 2 hours if I end the show now. Hot diggity dog. All right, nurses, come and get me. For Alexis.
Wow. Speaking of lines I never thought I'd hear outside of a porno.
For Alexis Haina of Honeysuckle Rose Creations, and from whatever continued painful existence Robert Winfree currently occupies, this has been
the same as everyone else.
This has been the Damn You Hollywood review show. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year! Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Dunkin' has a whole new line of handcrafted signature lattes. Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, and Cocoa Mocha. They're so delicious, you'll realize that you've been spending a whole latte time drinking the wrong coffee. So even though you've been together for years, it's time to say goodbye to your ex. Coffee Place. Because you've got a latte love for Dunkin's signature lattes. Sipping is believing with Dunkin's new handcrafted signature lattes, like Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, or Cocoa Mocha. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.